Hi, hello, don't talk to me. Today's episode of the Philip DeFranco Show is brought to you by Vikings, War of Clans. You like violent video games? Me too, and ain't nothing more violent than Vikings, let me tell you, except for maybe me. Check me out, look at me, look how violent I am. I can't be contained.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
What is wrong with you?
This is a free mobile game with 20 million players, which is pretty insane, so why am I telling you about it? Oh, 3 reasons, bitch. 1, the 3D graphics, the smooth gameplay can't get smoother like a baby's eyeballs. 2, the massive online battles will get you addicted in just 5 minutes. This game will turn you into an addict, I promise you, so help me God, I'll make it so. And 3, it's the first strategy RPG with a detailed ancient Vikings open world. You've only got a finite amount of life to live on this putrid earth, so why not install Vikings right now using the links below? If you do, you'll get 200 gold, a protection shield, and your very own place in Valhalla for free. And you'll help the channel out.
What?
You know, I've got a protection shield in real life, but can't protect me from my crippling anxiety attacks. Everybody, welcome back to the program. It's me, Chris, from Until Dawn. Today we're going to be talking a lot about video games, but not in like the good fun way where it's like, you know, we're talking about being excited for the new Spider-Man game by Insomniac, and not even in like the negative but also kind of fun way where we're like, you know, shitting on Konami for charging actual money for fucking save slots. No fun today, guys. Because if you're a video game fan by any means, I'm sure you've taken notice of the recent orbital bombardment of articles lambasting video games because they're apparently the most harmful thing on the planet, again, for the 44th time. And you know, if we're being really honest with ourselves here, this cycle of moral panic over video games is actually a very predictable cycle. You know, it started in the 1980s with the Christian right, where they're like, oh, hey, guess what? That D&D, that Dungeons and Dragons and all them video games, they're recruitment devices for the Satan.
Dungeons and Dragons debuted in 1974. It became a hit with many adolescents, but critics claimed it was an invitation to devil worship.
The witchcraft, the demonism, the spells.
Then off to the left wing again in the 90s, where you had Hillary Clinton just saying stupid shit as usual.
Violent video games increase aggressive behavior as much as lead exposure decreases children's IQ scores.
And you know, it's going. Oh, wait, what's that? Oh, back over to the right wing in the mid to late 2000s. Fox News and Glenn Beck making all sorts of ridiculous reports about fucking Grand Theft Auto teaching your sons to treat women like whores. Or how the Nintendo DS is a fucking device that pedophiles use to find and locate children.
And remember Marissa chatting with her friend in the other car? That means a molester driving along could see your child in the back seat and start sending messages while you're in the front seat, totally oblivious to what's happening.
A molester. A molester driving by while he is driving. While he is driving.
There's a victim afoot. Let me get on the picto chats so I can molest.
He veers off the road and kills himself and everyone because you can't drive with a DS.
Who created this? Who created the person that created this? Sometimes I think the atomic bomb is just the way out. Fucking cucks.
And I remember that era fondly because that's when I started making videos, and those are the topics that I made videos about. They're very bad. I used Windows Movie Maker. It was not a bright time. Oh, there it goes again. That's the early to mid 2010s. It's going back over to the left. The left hates video games now because everybody who plays video games are sexist pigs.
Go home, gamer girl.
That was during the Gamergate days. That was back when Anita Sarkeesian's name was more inescapable than fucking loot boxes are today. I sure do love spending $60 whole on a video game that isn't complete. What a wonderful future this is. Nowadays, though, it seems like everybody's joining in on the party. You got your Pepes, you got your Soy Boys. What a union this is. I'm gonna put my hat on because my hair's pissing me off right now. Here's an article from The Guardian where they literally actually make the claim that video games have been fueling the far right since the medium's inception because, and I quote, right-wing ideologies have been overrepresented and dominant throughout the history of video games. Although affected by context, video games have long focused on the expulsion of aliens, Space Invaders to XCOM, fear of impure infection, Half-Life to The Last of Us, border control, Missile Command to Plants vs. Zombies, territory acquisition, Command and Conquer to Splatoon, empire building, Civilization to Tropico, Princess Recovery, Mario to Zelda, and restoration of natural harmony, Sonic to Farmville. I don't even know where to begin with this. Evidently, being opposed to deadly viruses being exposed to the human population, as well as being against the invasion of malevolent alien forces, those are both right-wing ideologies. Are right-wingers lining up to save animals in the wilderness? Guys, I'm not sure I understand how to compute this. But wait, Chris! I hear you shout in the distance. That can't just be you've just showed us a left-wing article. How dare you? There's gotta be a right-wing article somewhere. Allow me to introduce you to this article by the Daily Wire, which, by the way, I didn't realize this. The Daily Wire is owned or, headed by Ben Shapiro. I had no idea, but before I started making this video. Stop pretending violent video games are harmless just because you like playing them. By Matt Walsh. Oh, Maddie. Oh, Maddie. Now, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go through the whole article. It's largely just appeals to emotion, and a lot of it does read kind of like an old man yells at the sky type deal, you know? So we're just going to go through some of the gems that we found, that I found. We didn't do. You guys didn't help me. Fuck you. What about violent video games? Well, there's no reason to focus this part of the conversation only on kids. It's not good or healthy for anyone to play graphic, disturbing, gory video games. Certainly, it won't make you a better person, and it's very hard to imagine that the effect is neutral. Nothing is really neutral for human beings. Everything we do either makes us better or worse. Hours a day pretending to kill people in virtual reality must logically fall into the worst category. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna get to this later, but the fact that he thinks video games are all about just like, you know, fucking pretending to kill people is so emblematic of exactly why I'm so confident that he's never touched a video game in his life. But we'll get into that later. The second thing that I want to bring up here is Matt Walsh is actually straight up making the argument, literally actually, that playing violent video games straight up makes you a worse person. Like, you are actually, I'm not twisting his words, dude. That's a translation. That's fucking, what's that, Rosa Parks? What's that thing? The fucking Muzzy? He also makes it very clear that this isn't just a thing about, like, children, you know? He thinks, like, even adults shouldn't be exposed to, you know, to violent video games. And it's like, to a certain extent, with children, I agree. Yeah, you don't want to show a child, like a 6-year-old girl, a fucking a full-motion video cutscene from a PlayStation 1 game. That's gonna scar her for life. But you know what? That's why the ESRB exists, so you know what games are suitable for who. And you know what? If that fails, there's still the fucking parents that should be paying the fuck attention to what the hell their kids are playing. You see, my parents understood that I was capable of separating fantasy from reality when I was very young, so I was able to play rated M games when I was like around 10 or 11. But not everybody's like that. Be a fucking parent. I've been playing M-rated games for the last 15 years, and let me tell you what, the only kind of killer I am is a lady killer. Not that Matt cares, because according to him, I'm just an automatically worse person for having played them, so I guess, you know, right over the head, who cares? This is where some video game apologists, wow, devolve into incoherence. Video games are a sacred cow because people are desperate to justify the last 8,000 hours of their lives that they wasted on them. No, Matt, we just don't appreciate assholes barging into our hobby who don't know anything about it, trying to tell us why we like it, why it's bad for us, even as if you know more about it than we do. That's what we find so fucking irritating. And I don't know, man, I don't consider that time wasted. I've actually bonded with many people in my life through a mutual love of the Halo games, a video game franchise all about killing aliens and shooting them to death. And many of those friendships started over a decade ago and are still going strong, and it's a game that's still forming meaningful relationships in my life to this day. I bonded with my dad playing Medal of Honor Rising Sun, and even though he couldn't quite grasp the controls and he wasn't the best at it, it meant the world to me that he even tried to get involved in one of my hobbies. That's a good dad right there. Before my sister passed away, we bonded over fighting games on the PS1 like Tekken 2 and Bloody Roar. And because I was so young when that happened, I remember those moments most vividly because they were moments of a shared enjoyment over a particular and specific thing. So forgive me, Matt, if I don't consider those hours wasted, because I just don't. In fact, I consider the way I spent that time to be pretty damn integral to the person I am now and the values that I hold. So forgive me if I perceive you to be a little bit of a bitch with a superiority complex because you can't fucking grasp this simple thing. You see, I can appeal to emotion too. So they'll often pretend there's nothing toxic about video games at all. They'll say something silly like, it's just pretend. I'm just shooting pixels. It's not turning me into a serial killer. Playing violent video games inherently makes you a worse person. Not silly. Video games aren't turning me into a serial killer. Ridiculous! Damn silly! What are you doing? You gotta be a dumbass! But, oh, and by the way, Matt, the argument isn't that video games can't be harmful at all. The argument is that they're not harmful enough to justify this retarded, self-righteous crusade against them. Everything on this planet is harmful, dude. Everything. Lights give people seizures. The sun gives you cancer, dude. I'm actually straight up willing to bet, I will put money on this, that the sun has killed more people than video games have. I'm just going to guess that that's probably fucking true. The rest of the article is pretty much just full of the same old moral platitudes we've been hearing for the longest time. You know, people who play video games are pretending to murder people, and that's not good for them.
It took 75 years and countless billions of dollars to train our soldiers to kill. Today, $60 buys your kid the same thing. Whatever happened to Pong?
It really just reeks of a lack of understanding about why people play these kinds of games in the first place. I think the main problem is that people who watch people play violent video games and people who play violent video games are getting two very, very different experiences out of the same thing, especially when the people watching have no fucking understanding of what's going on. Because when a geezer like Matt Walsh watches someone play Gears of War or something, yeah, all he's seeing is, you know, blood, gore, and guns, because much like his understanding of what he's talking about, it's all surface level. He's not thinking about flanking routes, or timing the active reload just right, or how to best progress through the game using the mechanics that the game has laid out before you. It's not an obstacle course to him, it's not a way to strategize, it's just a murder simulator. But that's not how it is to the person playing. Now, I'm gonna get very specific here, it's going to get very nerdy. If you don't play video games, you'll probably be a little bit lost, but hear me out, because I think this is probably the best way to get people like Matt to understand why it is that we play games like this. Here's a clip of me playing Halo 3. What you're seeing right here is not a clip of me engaging in some kind of fucking murder fantasy. What you're seeing is problem solving. You're seeing a play, much like you'd see a play in a game of baseball or football or any kind of competitive sport. It's a play. This is a game where 2 teams of 4 face off to eliminate the other team. Now, because it's 4 versus 4, and I've seen 2 enemies die and 1 enemy flee, I know that the enemy that just ran to hide in that underground shelter thing is alone. I know that I can probably take him one-on-one since his backup is basically all taken care of, so I'm deciding my next move. I drop into this hatch, hoping to do this, but oops, my shot missed. His health is full. Now my gun is overheated and my only other weapon is a long-range rifle, so I'll have to rely on my fists to win this fight. Luckily, look at that, I'm able to outpunch him. Victory is mine. But oh no, the guy I killed got a good hit on me and now my health is really fucking low. 1 good hit and I'm dead. But oh look, the radar says there's an enemy above me and he's probably going to be coming in the same way I did, through the hatch. So I'll just do what I do best. I'll bounce a grenade off the wall to land where the hole is, so when he lands, it'll take out most of his health and I can get him in 1 hit. Oh sweet, it worked, but oh no, my health is still too low to engage directly. So I walk over, guide him to the left. Oh, but what's this? Right as he turns the corner, I jump over him. Now he's disoriented and right next to the fucking explosives. He didn't expect that lateral move and bam, I win the encounter. Now, if you're not a video game fan, you probably have no idea what you just watched. You have no idea what I just said. But what you should take into account is not at any point was I thinking about murdering another human being. For the majority of people who play these kinds of games, this is where the enjoyment of the experience comes from. It's not from having a fucking murder fetish. It's about outsmarting an opponent or outsmarting an artificial intelligence using your wits and improvising problem solutions on the spot. Quick reaction time in tandem with, you know, understanding the game's mechanics and the engine and how everything operates and what does what to what and what interacts with what in what way. It's about the challenge of a game and mastering its rules, its mechanics, and its systems. That's what people love about these kinds of games. That's why they're engaging. It's not about murder fetishism, and if you think it is, you're a fucking inept child who should not be writing about video games. Except for Prototype. I really like Prototype because specifically that game makes you feel like you're killing all sorts of people. I fucking love that game, dude. Put me on a murder spree in that game, dude. You fucking cutting people up. You can eat people in that game. You can eat. You can consume people in Prototype. You can abduct an old man and wear his skin. I love Game of the Year.
I've got you under my skin.
Sorry guys, I got it a little bit out of hand there. That wasn't an exaggeration, though. I really do love Prototype for that reason. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this one-off episode. I haven't done a one-off episode in a while, so it's nice to go back and do it. If you want to support the channel, there's some merchandise in the description. There's a Patreon in the description that you can go check out. First episode of the Snark Tank podcast is finished, all recorded, all done. We're just waiting for some music to come in, but here's a sneak peek.
Guys, if you're a patron of this podcast, we're gonna fucking find who you are. You fucking idiots put your names and credit cards in this website. I'm gonna send you all a virus. I can easily dox y'all, to tell you the fucking truth. And that's a threat to every single person who...
I can see him right now. He's very threatening right now. That'll be up hopefully sometime next week if the music is done in time. It will definitely be on iTunes. I don't know about Spotify and Google Play just yet, but we'll figure that out soon. And that's all today's episode is. I'm gonna go play Fortnite again because I'm a piece of shit.
I have seizures. I can't feel my fucking face.
You fucking disgusting creature. You fucking slag.
Oh.